Hey everybody, Tabitha here from Tabitha Explores, and it is time for another top 10 list. So in today's list, we are going to hit my most unique experiences and places. So working on cruise ships, I actually got to experience some things that you just never even imagine that you would do. You don't even comprehend that you might do some of these things. To kick it off is probably my scariest experience. Number 10 of most unique experiences is a fire. So we were very lucky, very fortunate to have really fantastic crew on board, and the fire was extinguished almost immediately. Unfortunately, it was an engine fire, so it created a lot of black smoke. We spent the first 12 hours after experiencing the fire in pirate waters, halfway between the Philippines and Malaysia. Not severe pirate waters, but definitely pirate waters. The year was 2012, and I don't know if that brings anything significant back to your mind about that year, but I'll refresh your mind. In January of 2012 was the sinking of the Costa Concordia off the coast of Italy. In February of 2012, there was a massive fire on another Costa ship off the coast of Somalia, where they were stuck for days in pirate waters without air conditioning, flushing toilets, any kind of services. And it was actually in March of 2012 that we had our fire on board. And you probably won't recall that because it really didn't make a lot of news. There were news reports about it, and it was an Azamara ship. But fortunately for us, like I said, we had crew on board that were able to put the fire out almost immediately, but it did leave us dead in the water for 12 hours. So we had no flushing toilets, no air conditioning. We never got air conditioning back, actually. But we were there. We were just floating away. So after 12 hours, we were able to, the amazing crew were able to get one of the engines working again, and we were able to put lights back on and start flushing toilets again. So that was like pretty big deal. After 24 hours, a full 24 hours in the same place, they were able to get a second engine running, so we were able to actually start limping forward. So we had been traveling from Manila in the Philippines over to Sandakan, Malaysia, and we did limp into Sandakan. It took another 24 hours for us to get there. But I will say that however much it was a frightening experience, and we did have crew members that were injured on board, smoke inhalation, a few burns, a couple, I think there was one more serious, but everybody survived. Like I said, however scary it was also this bonding experience that as the crew we all went through. And when when we had no power, so that means that all of the freezers, all the meat starts de-thawing. All of the smoke from the fire went up our aft stairwells, so the crew stairwells as well as guest stairwells. So we were unable to use our kitchens for cooking. So they actually pulled out barbecues and started grilling meat up, and we kind of had a party on the deck for the guests and the crew, kind of celebrate making it through. Once we were actually going again, it was really truly kind of a celebration. When we landed, of course, all the guests were disembarked and sent home. They were offered a full refund on their cruise. They also got a free future cruise because of the fire. And as they were disembarking, they were telling us, "We don't want to leave. You guys are amazing. You handled this so well." There were some guests that said we'll never sail with anybody else again because of how you handled this almost disaster. And I don't think the guests really knew how bad it actually could have been. If we'd been any later in getting that fire out, it could have been a lot more devastating. So that's kind of unique experience number 10, and I put that at kind of the beginning of the list so that we can now like get into the more fun and exciting things. Okay, time for unique experience number 9, and this is the only one that doesn't occur while I was working on cruise ships. When I was 18, I think, 18 or 19, I traveled for the first time all by myself, and I went to Japan and stayed with a girl that I had gone to school with in Victoria who had been an exchange student from Japan. I couldn't really do the exchange system back, even though I wanted to. So I did save up my money and I went on a solo trip to Japan. And the unique experience that I had was basically, well, I had taken some Japanese and I was trying to learn a little while I was there. I wasn't doing great at it because it's so easy to get around Japan with English. So she kind of surprised me with basically a homestay. So she was an English tutor for some young Japanese kids, and one of the students that she had wanted to meet me, so she decided to drop me off at his house for 2 nights. So I was kind of surprised, but it was so much fun. I got to spend 2 nights in a home with a Japanese family that nobody spoke any English except for the teen boy, and he didn't speak a lot of English, so it was a lot of hand gestures and trying to communicate and me trying to use my Japanese. And I got to like be there and learn how to prepare a meal and hang out with the family. It was such a fun and unique experience. It's not something I think I would have signed myself up for in a way, but I'm really glad that my friend did that for me and made me get kind of out of my comfort zone. All right, time for number 8, climbing Mount Etna on Sicily. So this is something that a lot of people can do. A lot of people can go to Sicily, climb Mount Etna. It's a tour bus basically to a parking lot, and then you kind of climb a little bit more hill to go up to the volcano. At least when it's not spewing, you can do it, because Mount Etna is definitely still a very active volcano. But it's just, you don't ever expect that you're going to be able to walk on the rim of a volcano. So I got that opportunity while working on ships. I got to do a guest guided tour as a crew member and go on this tour up to the top of the volcano and walk along the rim of one of the craters of the volcano. So I would definitely put that up there if you're looking for a bit of adventure to do something like that. Maybe not Mount Etna, depending on how volatile she's being, but definitely a great experience and fun thing to do when you're traveling. All right, time for number 7, rounding Cape Horn on, well, the bottom of South America. So few people can say they've been to Antarctica. I am not one of the people that can say that I've been there. The closest I've been is rounding Cape Horn, and an experience. Let's just say when I did it, unfortunately the weather wasn't very great, so you're out in all of your winter gear and it's a little bit rough, and there's not really much to see other than the ocean and the fog. But to be able to say that you've gone around Cape Horn is a pretty unique and fun thing to have on your, you know, listed done things. So I definitely remember doing that fondly, and and also being a little nauseous going down there and around the Cape. And that was in the middle of summer down there, so winter up in North America, but it was summer down there. And but it was very cold, pretty windy, choppy, foggy. There wasn't a whole lot to see. I kind of wish I'd been there when there was more to see, if it was a little bit clearer and nicer, but at least I can say I've done it, right? All right, time for number 6. Now, this is kind of a fun one and very unique to me. When I was on my first contract, I think it was my first contract, it might have been my second or third. But I did a couple of summers where we traveled to Alaska. So the ship I was on traveled from Seattle up to Alaska every week, and on Thursdays every week, I think it was Thursdays every week, it stopped in Victoria, BC. So that was my hometown, and so I would be able to have friends and family come on board the ship for a tour, or I would go outside and we go, somewhere for dinner or whatever. Sometimes we just sit on the pier. But one time, so my birthday is in August, and I think I was actually in Mendenhall Glacier in Alaska for my actual birthday. I went up to the glacier, but that Thursday we had a party on the pier. I decided I want both my ship friends and my home friends and my family to be able to celebrate together. So my mom and dad brought an ice cream cake down to the pier. A few people brought a little nibbles to eat, and I had both friends and family from home as well as friends from the ship come out to be able to have like a little celebration for my birthday right on the pier in Victoria. So it was pretty unique. One of my best birthdays, I would definitely say, to be able to spend that time with kind of both parts of my world, the home world and the away at ships world. So pretty cool, unique experience. Number 5 of my unique experiences, places I went, that sort of thing. So this is one experience, but I experienced it twice. So 2 different places, 2 slightly different experiences. Both were in Spain. One was Seville, and one was, and I'm going to totally bugger the pronunciation, Pasayas, Spain. Now, both of those places are kind of hard to get to. So Pasayas is kind of inside this little inlet, and there's a very, very skinny kind of route to take for the ship. And not a lot of ships can go in here. You have to be a certain width in order to get through. So I've got some photos to show you of that one. Truly a unique experience to go through such a narrow channel to get to a city. The other one was in Seville, and in Seville a lot of the cruise ships will go up the river, but they can only go a certain distance up the river. But because we were in a smaller ship, we were actually able to go up the river a lot further than other ships, and we were able to dock almost right outside the downtown of Seville. There's a drawbridge you have to go under. Unfortunately, I don't have any photos from this one because I think we sailed in at night, and I probably wasn't able to go out and check it out when we sailed out. but it's again a very skinny, narrow passage to get through. When we went under that one, I swear if you'd given me a broom, I could have whacked the side of the bridge as we kind of went underneath well, it was a drawbridge, so we were kind of underneath the road in a way, but very, very close. It takes, for both passages, it takes a very skilled captain, a very skilled pilot to be on board to get us through both of those narrow passages. So to be able to go through such a narrow passage is a pretty unique experience, and I actually got to do it twice. Number 4. Okay, we're starting to get up there. And again, this is another sailing experience. When you are traveling from Europe and heading to Asia, you often will take the Suez Canal, you'll go down the Red Sea, and you'll travel kind of east, south of, Yemen, Oman, the Emirates, and over towards India. And I got to do that once, I think. I think I did it once. And kind of being a crew member, you see so much more of the background behind what it takes to actually do that sail. To go through the Suez Canal, you have to basically be lined up and ready to go. Basically, it's like being at the grocery store checkout. You get in line and you wait for your turn. I think the Suez Canal, there's only one canal, so they do, I don't know exactly what they do, but I think it's like in the mornings you go south and the afternoons you go north, or vice versa. It might be separated by a day. I'm not really sure what the situation is now, but I know we had to get there early and wait quite a while before we could go through the canal. We had to book our time through the canal. It's very expensive to go through the canal. So that was really cool to be able to go through the Suez Canal and travel down the Red Sea. We had to, in order to head out of the Red Sea, you're actually crossing into pirate waters. You have to travel in a convoy. They actually have naval ships from all over the world that actually line the corridor that you are supposed to take through until you're in safer waters. You have to hire armed guards. Well, you don't have to, I don't think, but it's a really good idea to hire armed guards. The crew members, they pull the crew members to come up with people that go on pirate watch. They set up the ship so that there's hoses everywhere in case someone does try to board the ship, so that you can turn on the water and spray them down and get them off the ship. But just having all of those safeguards in place just kind of ensures that it truly is going to be a safe passage and that it's going to be a fun trip for everybody. So number 3 is seeing the orangutans and proboscis monkeys of Borneo. Do you know where Borneo is? Okay. It is an island in the South Pacific, and this island has 3 countries that have some claim to the land on the island. Indonesia has the majority of the island. Malaysia also has a large portion of the island. And then there's a small, little, tiny country called Brunei that has a small portion of the island of Borneo. And we were in Sandakan, Malaysia. This is actually after the fire that we had on board. So if we had had that fire, I wouldn't probably have had this experience. And because we were in Sandakan for a few days while we got our ship kind of ready to sail again, we had extra days with no guests on board for some of the crew. So a very few of us got to experience this tour that this wonderful lady booked for us from the ship. And we got to go see the orangutans of Borneo and the proboscis monkeys. So I'll put up a couple of pictures from when I was there showing you the orangutans and what those proboscis monkeys look like. But to be on the island of Borneo, of like this such exotic South Pacific place, and to experience those two animals was pretty phenomenal and unforgettable, absolutely unforgettable. Okay, number 2, unique experiences. And this also is another animal experience. This is also in Indonesia, so in the South Pacific. There is an island called Komodo Island. And again, it's one of those places you just never think you'll be. You never think that you're going to be on the Komodo Island visiting and seeing the Komodo dragons. So there was a bunch of guest tours, and then there was one crew tour scheduled. I was able to book myself on that crew tour. It was a paid tour, and we were able to experience the Komodo dragons and kind of go through this walking tour where the Indonesian handlers would kind of like keep the Komodo dragons away from you, because they're not fenced in. You're not fenced in. They're not fenced in, and they are very ancient animals and very much. They smell blood. They go after blood. That's you. And then after we saw the Komodo dragons, we did a boat tour to Pink Beach. So again, I'll include some pictures. You might have seen them already, of the Komodo dragons, the tour we did, and then the Pink Beach. And it's basically a coral pink beach, but it's still on the island, Komodo Island. So we still had to have guards protecting us from, in case any of the Komodo dragons actually came up over the hill towards our beach. So yeah, pretty unique experience. Definitely, if that's something that interests you, like, kind of get there and see it, because it's phenomenal. It is such an interesting animal to see in person, and to go to such a place. It's just, yeah, it's unbeatable. Really, it's unbeatable. All right, it's time for number 1 on my top unique experience. And this one, it might not have made my top if it wasn't 2025, and with what's going on in the world right now, it might not be it. But because now this kind of tour is you can't do it anymore right now. Was a tour in Israel. So I am not a super religious person. I appreciate other people's religion. I respect them. But I myself don't have that, like, serious faith. I know that there's something out there, but I don't necessarily believe in one particular god or deity, anything like that. But I do know that there's something spiritual out there. So this tour was presented to me as an option as a host of the tour from the ship, because our shore excursion staff were short-staffed. So my boss, amazing, Takis, thank you, still to this day, however many years later, I thank you so much for this opportunity. They needed someone to go along with a guest tour that was an overnight tour in Israel. So we stayed in a hotel in Jerusalem. We saw the Wailing Wall, the Via Dolorosa, Nazareth, Bethlehem, you name it, I saw it. No, wait, I did not get to the Dead Sea. Don't feel sorry for me. I feel a little bit sorry for me, but don't feel sorry for me with everything else that I got to see there. I was so fortunate to be able to do this tour, to see all of these sites. There is absolutely something spiritual and magical about these sites in Israel. It makes me so sad that there is so much fighting and war over in Israel right now, that these sites are never going to be like they were when I saw them again. I'm sure. I don't know the situation with regards to the religious sites, but I can't imagine all of them have survived in the way I saw them. So I count myself extremely lucky to have been able to do this tour, to have been able to see these sites, to experience the spirituality there. I actually felt guilty for being chosen to go on this tour because I don't have a strong religious background. There are a lot of crew members on ships that would absolutely trade anything to do that tour, and so I do not take it lightly that I got offered that, and I was able to really and truly go in there with an open mind, open heart. The most moving point for me was being at the Western Wall or Wailing Wall. There was spirituality there like I've never experienced before, and whether it's about being at that Wailing Wall, being as close to the Dome of the Rock as you can get as a civilian, or if it was just truly the beliefs and the spirits of the people around me that were visiting. I felt it, and I respect it, and I can appreciate it very much. So that was kind of like my most memorable moment, really, because you can't ever experience it the same way again. So and most people won't experience it at all over the next few years, who knows how long, with the issues that are still ongoing in Israel right now. So I really take my luck and my fortune to have done it and appreciate it, and yeah, kind of now share with all of you these kind of unique experiences I've had. So now I have to ask, what unique experiences have you had while traveling? What's your, oh my gosh, I never thought this would happen to me, or that I would ever be in this place? Where is it for you? Tell me about it. Where should I go? What's a place that's gonna blow my mind away? Because I'm right now I'm traveling in my RV, enjoying North America, Canada, and the U.S. If there's someone there that I just must somewhere there that I must see, tell me and I'll try to get there. But around the world as well, because traveling around the world is not going to stop for me either. I want to get to some of these places. So anyways, that's my top 10 unique experiences / places list. I really hope you like this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that jazz, and we will see you in the next video.